Hello and welcome to the decorations tutorial. This is what we'll be making today. Okay, let's get started. First, let's set the grid to meters. Let's go into polygons and create a cube. With D and V, let's set the pivot of the cube to the bottom center. With X, let's put the cube in the center. And that's it, we've done our crate. That's a beautiful crate, isn't it? I'm kidding. Let's go into Edit UVs, UV Texture Editor. Okay, now let's select edges, select everything, and cut. So we have each side of the box as an individual island. And now let's put all of those in the center. We're gonna do the texture for our box with only one side, and all the sides are going to use the same texture. I'm going to use the Align UVs to align those. Okay, now our crate is ready to be painted. See? Everything's right there. Okay. Created a new 512 by 512 file. Pick the color for the background. Now I'm going to start by doing the center of the box with a darker color. Okay, now let's do the corners. Like there's a beam of wood on each side. I'm gonna use the pen tool to create that. Put that beneath the layer that has the center. Okay, a lighter color there. Use combined shapes, so all of the same color will be in the same shape. That will make it easier to adjust color later and to use clipping masks. Okay. I'm gonna make another beam of wood in the center, crossing the box diagonally. Now it already starts to look like a box. Let's do the interior beams there. A little bit lighter color. Can actually just duplicate this one, Ctrl C and Ctrl V, just move it around. Can use Edit, flip vertical or flip horizontally to make a little bit different. Just copy this again. And you can use the direct selection tool to just select some points and move them around. Get it the right size and shape you want. That's pretty similar to the previous tutorial, so if you have any questions about this and you haven't watched the previous tutorials, you should check it out. Now I'm making a lighter color on the corners there, as you can see, to give some more separation, to be like a corners of the beam. And in the middle, I'm doing some little dashes of lighter color to try and mimic wood. Now I'm gonna do some darker color, abstract shapes to try and give a kind of texture of wood there. Gonna do the same for the other ones. Can do it all in one shape. Okay, and to the middle. Okay. Yeah, I'm just doing the same for the other ones. Always using the combined shapes to keep shapes of the same color in the same layer, so it's easier to adjust later. I'm actually gonna just Ctrl C and Ctrl V that one for the other ones to save time. And I actually didn't really Ctrl C, yep. Now it's there. flip horizontal to make it match in shape. And now for the interior ones. Again, if you have any doubts about this, just check the previous tutorials, especially the one on floor and walls. Covers a little bit better what I'm doing here. Another shape there with another color, just to give it even more variation, more of a wooden feeling. Again, I'm just gonna copy these over to the other ones, so I don't really have to do this on each one. Also, experiment with the colors until you're happy with it. I wasn't really sure if I wanted this to be darker or lighter, so I just messed around with it until I found something I liked. Okay, let's try our texture. And there it is, our crate. Now we can use curves to get it a little bit lighter, because it doesn't look as good on Maya with this dark color. Yep, that seems right. Let's try some saturation. You can mess around with the saturation, looking for a redder or bluer crate or something. And another curves layer, just because. Okay. Yep, you can see the difference. Now, I can't really see the corners there, so I'm gonna make a brighter color right on the corners, so it will create a bigger separation. Okay, that's way too much. I want some separation, but that's... let's turn the opacity down a little bit. Okay, it's better. I'm gonna create some groups with the planks, so I can target them with one single clipping mask. And with the brush and a low opacity, I'm gonna start painting some shadows. Low opacity, yep, like that. First off, I want to separate the inside part of this shadow, so I'm going to use a clipping mask there. See? I'm going to paint it a darker color there, and you can turn the opacity down so it's not too much. You can see the difference? Let's see on Maya. Yep, that gives some 3D feeling to that. Now I'm going to start painting on the planks itself. First this one in the middle, painting a darker color on the sides there, using a clipping mask. With a lower opacity and lighter color in the middle to really make it pop. Okay, another group with the side planks, another clipping mask. I'm gonna paint the lighter side in the center there. Make these planks pop out a little bit. A darker color more to the bottom there. And on these junctions. Yep, it's a good box. Now let's do a barrel. Starting with a cylinder, I'll do my going to inputs, subdivision axis, turn it down to about 12. I'm right now using the middle mouse drag with the thing I want to adjust selected. I just wanted to get some more topology in there to move it around. But first, I'm only going to work on the top half of the barrel. So I'm going to delete the bottom half. I can mirror geometry later. Okay, let's start to shape this thing. One thing I didn't cover on the MyLT Basics is the shift and greater than and smaller than to expand and contract selection. I use this right now to select the center there. Okay, I'm gonna use the Insert Edge Loop tool to get a better topology there to shape the barrel. I'm gonna select the base and start to shape the barrel more so it's wider on the center and more narrow to the top and bottom. Using the shift again to expand and contract the selection. Oh, this is local, it's not gonna do me much good, so click here to go into world, scale it down, then back to local to push it a little bit more inside. Guess this is good. This is gonna be like a beam of metal that holds the planks together in the barrel. Okay, I guess this is good. Okay, top part of our barrel is done. Maybe a little bit wider there. Okay. Mesh, mirror geometry, and we're gonna mirror the geometry down to -y. That's not supposed to happen. That's a mistake. Sometimes this happens when we didn't freeze the transformations. So let's also delete history just in case. Now transformations are all at 0 and let's try again. So if that happens, freeze transformations, delete history and try again. And now it works. Okay, let's scale this a little bit, put the pivot to the bottom. Okay, now it's more like it, because each one of those squares in the grid is about the size of the crate you just did, so we want the barrel to be same size, or size that makes sense. Okay, now we need to UV this. First let's delete a half, so we only have to UV one side and we'll mirror the other one. Okay, I'll select the parts that are facing to the side and use a planar mapping to get a head start on the UV. We're using the Z-axis, as you can see there. Yep, this is a good place to start. Let's bring this to the side. First I need to select the UVs to UV, and to the side. You can try to use relax a little bit to get a better start on the selection of the UVs. Right now I'm going to select each line and use the Align UV tool to make it straight. Okay, if this is a little bit easier to see. This is new in my LT 2014, 2015, I'm not sure. You can see the reds are stretchings in the UV. The blues are also not stretching, I'm not really sure what the term is for that, but it's not good. So I'll align each one, and then I'm gonna try and make everything as white as possible. So you move things around until you see things are looking good and not stretched. Okay, now I'm gonna squeeze it back into your UV space and do the top. Let's go face, select all the faces on the top. I'm going to create UV planar mapping and do the Y-axis. That's the top axis. Okay, that's a good start. Go to UV, scale it a little bit. You're gonna notice I'm actually scaling it way too much to the sides. I'm gonna scale it horizontally there. It'll look weird, but I'm gonna do the texture with half width of the UV, so it's gonna be fine. Right now I'm gonna select the UVs. I'm gonna go into scale, put the pivot of the scale to the center with D and V, and scale it down, so it's not that stretched. Okay, that looks pretty good. Actually gonna do that again with this last line there. Okay, it's better. Let's do a UV snapshot and send this over. As you can see, I'm using half the width for X as I am for Y. You'll see one last thing. Let's do a mirror geometry here. So we have both sides of our barrel again, but we are both sides using the same UV. Okay, to get rid of that ugly line, you can soften edge. Actually, this barrel is way too soft. You can actually select some of the edge loops that you want to be more hard. That sounds weird. But yeah, as you can see, that looks more like a barrel. So that's the size I'm using for the UV. It's half the width of the UV instead of both being the same size. Actually, let's use even less. Instead of 512, let's use 256 for the width, 512 for the height. Okay, let's get started. Pretty much the same way I did the crate, I'm just gonna create the planks, duplicate it, flip horizontally or vertically, till I got all my planks where I want them. With the direct selection tool, I'm just gonna adjust things, so they're not overlapping too much. Let's pick a good color, put it beneath the UVs, and do the metal things on the sides that hold the planks together. Now at the top, just duplicating it and scaling it up. And those are the tops of the planks, doing each one individually. Now if you bring this back to Maya, it will already start to look like a barrel. Some more planks there in the middle. Using a clipping mask, so we're only affecting that middle there. Let's see how it's looking. Yep, that looks like a barrel already. If you want our game to look very vectorial, you could just stop here and move on. But I want this to look a little bit better, so I'm gonna add some details. Adding light and shadow on the metal there. And now let's add the lighter color on the corners of the planks. Give it more of a separation. Just like I did on the crate. I hope you guys can follow this on this speed, because it's pretty much the same I've been doing on the other tutorials, so if I keep on explaining every little detail, it's gonna get pretty boring and it will be a long video. Using a darker color there in the middle to make like some separation. Yep, that's good. Now the wooden texture in the planks. I'll just do some abstract shape drawings there. Just some doodles. And I'll copy it over, flip, copy, flip. Save some time. You can see it already starts to look more like a wooden texture. I'll do that with lighter color too. More sparingly. Okay, it's good. You can adjust the color until you're happy with it. Also add some to the tops of the planks. And lastly to the planks in the top. Okay, that's a good barrel. Now I should add some brush strokes, make things pop out a little bit more. I made a group and now I'm painting with a clipping mask on that group. You can use overlay, blending mode to get it a little bit lighter. Actually can use the Gaussian blur to make it blend a little bit more. Then let's try soft light or other blending modes. Yeah, that works. Makes it pop out a little bit more in the middle. Okay, let's do a darker color on the sides. Just get the brush and start brushing some darker color on the sides of the planks. The new layer, of course. Not the layer that's overlaid, that wouldn't look right. Okay. Actually, let's try... Yep, that looks good. I'm using overlay on the lighter color now. I think it looks better than the soft light. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the barrel. Now let's go to the top and do the same thing. Remember to use the clipping mask so it doesn't affect the other part. And let's add some shadows to the metal things that are holding the planks together. Yep. And let's also do some shadow and brightness on the metal things itself. Do a clipping mask there with a new layer, paint some darker colors, then some lighter colors. Gives a better look. Yeah. Okay, now last thing, let's get some curves there. Curve adjustments and adjust the curves until you're happy with it. Usually in Photoshop I end up doing things way too dark. Yeah, that looks better on Maya. And that's it. That's the tutorial for today. Next up, we're gonna be doing braziers and torches. And I'm gonna do a bonus tutorial showing how to use some deformers on Maya to get some asset variation with the same assets. Now, if you have some comments, suggestions, some people have been commenting like thank you, but I was actually hoping to interact more with you guys and answer questions or making bonus tutorials and things you guys want to hear. So please, if you have any question, just let me know in the comments or follow me on Twitter. You can find my Twitter there, and I'm always answering questions on Twitter. You can tweet me anytime. And of course, subscribe to this channel to get new tutorials. I'm doing some bonus tutorials in the middle of the week instead of just the regular tutorial on Tuesday, so if you subscribe, you can know first thing when the tutorial goes up. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you guys next time.